Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some Path of Exile 2 discussion. Today, we're going to be talking about a third-party website that's come from Path of Exile 1 to Path of Exile 2. It's POE.ninja. Those of you that play Path of Exile 1 as well are probably very familiar with this if you've gotten solidly into the endgame. Now, there's two things that POE.ninja does in Path of Exile 1. The first one of these is a repository for builds. This is already implemented as much as it kind of can be at the moment with POE2's limited APIs, and that's been on Ninja for a little while now. That isn't changing. What is changing is the economy information. Let's have a look at it. It differs from Path of Exile 1, and a big part of that is because in Path of Exile 1, there is simply different information that's available through Grinding Gear Games' API, which means that the underlying information that Ninja has access to is quite different. What we see here is a whole series of trade ratios for items that can be traded on the in-game currency exchange. This is not 030's new asynchronous trade system. This is the pre-existing currency exchange. For example, you can see here, what's a Henalock trading for at the moment? What's a perfect Chaos Orb, perfect Exalted Orb, Divine Orb, perfect Jeweler's Orb? What are all of these things trading for at the moment? And you can also see some other useful information about them. For example, the volume of them per hour that's being traded. So you can see here that there's a fair bit more trade taking place in Perfect Exalts and Perfect Chaos Orbs than there is in Mirrors of Kalandra, but there's a lot more trade in Divine Orbs than there is in any of those currencies. Likewise, if you have a look further down, you'll see that Exalted Orbs are being traded in very, very large amounts. Now, a couple of other things that are worth knowing. Currently, everything is priced in Chaos Orbs. This is intended to change a little bit. Chaos Orbs will be the default index currency. Very valuable items will instead be denominated in Divine Orbs. So for instance, you won't see one Mirror of Kalandra is 4600 Chaos. It'll be one Mirror of Kalandra is 138 Divines. And chances are that ratio will just get more extreme the later in the league that we get. And also there'll be an option to override this default setting by choosing from a drop-down menu or something similar, whether you want prices denominated in Exalts, in Chaos, or in Divines. Now that's going to be subject to review because we don't know how the economy of 030 is going to shake out. There are a lot of changes to crafting currencies. Some of the old favorites are better than they used to be. Some of them are worse than they used to be. Probably most importantly, we have these new currencies, Perfect Chaos, Perfect Exalts, that might end up seeing a lot of use. We'll have to see exactly where everything works out there. The other thing that you might be really interested in is that it's not just currency to currency. You can also find information on fragments, for instance. How much is a tertiary calamity fragment going for? Oh, looks like they're 28C at the moment. All of the new Abyss currencies, the Abyssal Bones that modify items and allow you to desecrate them, very similar to Veiled Exalted Orbs in Path of Exile 1. And uncut gems, which might be something that's useful while you're establishing yourself. So, how much is a level 20 gem at the moment? Well, it looks like they're pretty expensive currently, despite the fact that there's not all that many people that can use them, because you can't use an uncut gem of level 20 until you are character level 90. Once you are character level 90, well, it looks like there's quite a lot of turnover in them, and there's quite a bit of interest in getting your hands on one. You might also be interested to know that just behind level 19 spirit gems is level 8 ones. And that's because it's the lowest possible amount of attributes you can have that will allow you to use certain ones. A number of guides recommend them, and so then you'll see a lot of people will use them as a result. But one of the things that I actually recommended to Rasmus to put in that's been taken up is a section on lineage support gems. So if you've ever wondered what the most expensive lineage supports are, well, it's Uhtred's Augury at the moment. This one's not a very stable price. There's just not very many of them trading currently. But it's Rekiada's Flow and Diala's Desire are both very solidly traded. So there's a lot of these in circulation, a lot of people trying to get them. And also at the same time, they're very high prices. So you're looking at 328 Chaos for Rekiada's Flow, which is the Elemental Inversion support. And Diala's Desire is at 287. This is the one that's a little bit of Empower, a little bit of Enlighten, a little bit of Enhance, for those of you that are Path of Exile 1 players. Of course, you can browse the rest of this site yourself. I think it's really useful for Trade League players, but even if you're in solo self-found, you might have some curiosity as to just how valuable some of the things you happen to have found would be if you were to shift over to trade, and then that lets you keep all of your options open. Anyways, really useful resource. It is based upon some different information than Path of Excel 1, and I actually think that makes it more accurate than it will be in POE 1, because this information is all coming from a trade API that shows Faustus trade numbers, or Faustus is the Path of Excel 1 NPC, Ange is the NPC in POE 2, and those are just that bit more accurate than they are in Path of Excel 1, where it's dependent upon the trade API and people can play shenanigans in order to falsely represent that a sale has taken place. I'm going to leave it there. May the Varlorbs you pick up at 8.4 to the Chaos Orb have interesting results.